We are back for year 2 of the UFL and year 5 of covering spring football. With preseason camp for the UFL just a few weeks away, and this channel having its roots with the XFL, I thought I would share the stories of the projected starting quarterbacks for the 2025 season. There are some familiar names from past seasons of spring football, also some former big-name college football players as well. Let's get into this. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also let me know who you will be rooting for this year in the UFL in the comment section below. The first quarterback we are going to talk about is Kellen Mond. Mond is projected to be the starting quarterback for the San Antonio Brahmas and is originally from San Antonio, Texas. He attended high school at IMG Academy, where he threw for 1,936 yards and 20 touchdowns, while also rushing for 775 yards and 18 touchdowns as a senior. According to 24/7 Sports Composite, Mond was a 4-star recruit with over 17 offers from the likes of Auburn, Clemson, Georgia, LSU, and Ohio State, but chose to attend Texas A&M. Mond will get playing time as a freshman when starter Nick Starkel got hurt in the season opener. When Jimbo Fisher arrived for the 2018 season, he named Kellen Mond the full-time starter. That 2018 season would be his best season at A&M as he threw for 3,107 yards, 24 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, while also rushing for 474 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground. There were high expectations for Mond and the Aggies as they were coming off a 9-4 season, where they won the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl 52-13 over NC State heading into the 2019 season, but they would only go 8-5. Mond and the Aggies would rebound in 2020, playing an SEC-only schedule going 9-1, with their lone loss coming to number 2 Alabama. They just missed out on making the college football playoff, but beat number 13 North Carolina 41-27 in the Orange Bowl. He finished his A&M career throwing for 9,661 yards, 71 touchdowns and 27 interceptions, while also rushing for 1,609 yards and 22 touchdowns on the ground. He finished as one of 3 SEC quarterbacks to finish with 9,000 passing yards and 1,500 rushing yards in a career, joining Tim Tebow and Dak Prescott. He impressed scouts at the 2021 Reese's Senior Bowl, being named the MVP of the weekend, and would be taken in the 3rd round of the 2021 NFL Draft by the Minnesota Vikings. He would appear in the Vikings Week 17 matchup that season, but would be waived in August of 2022. He had spent the 2022 season with the Browns, would eventually join the practice squad before being signed by the Colts in October of 2023 to their practice squad. In 2024, he spent about a month with the New Orleans Saints and signed with the UFL in October. He has impressed San Antonio coach Wade Phillips, who thinks he should still be playing in the NFL. Mond is only 25 and will be beginning to show off his talent with the Brahmas this season. If playing doesn't work out, everyone thinks he would make a great head coach one day though. Max Duggan is the favorite to win the Battlehawks starting quarterback job. Duggan is originally from Council Bluffs, Iowa, where he played at Lewis Central High School. As a senior, he passed for 2,130 yards and 24 touchdowns, while adding 1,223 yards and 25 touchdowns on the ground, on his way to being named the 2018 Iowa Gatorade High School Player of the Year. According to 24/7 Sports Composite, he was a 4-star recruit for the 2019 recruiting class, choosing TCU over the likes of Georgia, Iowa, Iowa State, Ohio State, and Ole Miss. He'd take over the starting quarterback job against SMU, becoming only the 2nd ever true freshman to start at quarterback under Gary Patterson. In 2020, he found out he had Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome and would have to endure a 9-hour surgery. He had a blood clot that forced him to return to the hospital and have emergency surgery once again. He would be back in time to play in the TCU's 2020 season though. In 2021, Duggan would struggle with injuries, causing him to be benched in favor of Chandler Morris. Many thought Morris was going to take over the starting quarterback job under brand new head coach Sonny Dykes in 2022, but Duggan decided to stay and fight. He would lose the preseason quarterback battle, but decided he was going to be the best backup in the country. Morris would get hurt, and Duggan returned as the starter. Duggan would lead TCU to the national title game after beating Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl, finishing with 3,698 passing yards, 32 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, whilst rushing for 423 yards and 9 touchdowns on the ground. He won the Davey O'Brien Award as the nation's best quarterback and finished 2nd in the Heisman voting, with the other finalists being Caleb Williams, who won, CJ Stroud, and Stetson Bennett. He finished his TCU career throwing for 9,618 yards, 73 touchdowns and 28 interceptions, while also rushing for 1,856 yards and 28 touchdowns on the ground. He'd be taken by the Los Angeles Chargers in the 7th round of the 2023 NFL Draft, where he spent time on their practice squad, but would not re-sign with the team in 2024. Duggan is the only quarterback of the 10 quarterbacks on the 2022 Heisman Trophy ballot to still not be in the NFL right now. Anthony Beck spoke on Duggan saying, "Guys take that differently. Guys in the UFL say I should be in the league or I got screwed. Max isn't that guy. He's young. He's hungry. He wants to learn. We found a guy with a lot of potential. There's something there. He needs the reps to show it." I talked to former Chargers GM Tom Telesco about him, and he's really talented. They knew they had to invest some time into him to grow, and they couldn't do it. He wants to grow in an NFL system. He wasn't given the opportunity to play fast because he was buried on the Chargers depth chart. He will be battling Chevon Cordero and Manny Wilkins for the starting quarterback job, but is the favorite to win it. The Birmingham Stallions will probably have a two-man quarterback battle between Matt Corral and Alex Magoo. Matt Corral is originally from Long Beach, California, and played at Long Beach College, where he threw for 10,178 yards and 103 touchdowns, while also rushing for 940 yards and 20 touchdowns on the ground. He rated as a 4-star recruit according to 24/7 Sports Composite, was an Army All-American game selection. He would originally commit to USC before flipping to Florida and signed with Ole Miss. He started his career serving as Jordan Teamu's backup, but took over the starting quarterback job in 2019. He would win the starting quarterback job in 2020 with brand new head coach Lane Kiffin and offensive coordinator Jeff Lebby. In 2021, he led the Rebels to a 10-3 record, throwing for 3,349 yards, 20 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, while also rushing for 614 yards and 11 touchdowns on the ground. He would suffer a leg injury in the first quarter of the Sugar Bowl and was carted off. He finished his Ole Miss career throwing for 8,281 yards, 57 touchdowns, and 23 interceptions, while also rushing for 1,338 yards and 18 touchdowns on the ground. He would be taken in the 3rd round of the NFL Draft by the Carolina Panthers, but suffered a Lisfranc injury during the preseason, causing him to miss his entire rookie season. He would be picked up by the New England Patriots before eventually signing with the Birmingham Stallion in 2024. He would split time with Adrian Martinez, helping the Stallions win their 3rd straight Spring League title, and signed with the Vikings last summer. Alex Magoo was taken 6th overall by the Birmingham Stallions in the original USFL draft, and is originally from Tampa, Florida. He played high school football at Gaithers High School. It was a 3-star recruit coming out of high school. He had offers from FIU and Colgate, choosing to stay home and play for the Panthers. He had a successful college career statistically, throwing for 9,091 yards, 65 touchdowns, and 37 interceptions. He set multiple school records throughout his career and entered the 2018 NFL Draft, where he was taken by the Seahawks in the 7th round of the NFL Draft. He became the first quarterback drafted by the Seahawks since they took Russell Wilson in 2012. He'd be waived and signed with their practice squad and would go on to spend time with the Jaguars, Texans, and Seahawks once again, where he was waived by the Seahawks in August of 2021. During the first season of the USFL, he would suffer an ankle injury, but returned in time for the title game, replacing an injured Jamar Smith and helping the Stallions win their first USFL title. When Smith suffered a season-ending injury, in the second season, Magoo stepped up and would go on to win the USFL MVP award and lead the Stallions to the 2nd straight USFL championship. He would spend time with the Green Bay Packers in 2023 and 2024, and during the 2024 offseason, they attempted to convert him to wide receiver before he got hurt. He returned to the Packers practice squad in November, but re-signed with the Stallions a few weeks later. Jordan Teamu was originally from Hawaii and was an under-the-radar prospect coming out of high school. He had partial Division II offers and one junior college offer, and believing he was a D1 prospect, decided to bet on himself and go the JUCO route. During the 2016 season, Jordan threw for 3,014 yards and 32 touchdowns at the New Mexico Military Institute, being named Conference Player of the Year. He earned multiple Division I offers, choosing to attend Ole Miss, where he sat behind former 5-star recruit Shea Patterson. When Patterson went down with an injury, Teamu impressed in the starting role. With a quarterback battle brewing, Patterson decided to enter the transfer portal, giving Jordan the keys to the Ole Miss offense. As a senior, he threw for 3,918 yards, 19 touchdowns, and only 8 interceptions, finished his Rebel career with 5,600 yards, 30 touchdowns, and only 12 interceptions. He would go undrafted during the 2019 NFL Draft, but be signed and later released by the Houston Texans. He decided to join the XFL, where he would be allocated to the St. Louis Battlehawks, leading them to one of the best records in the league and impressing along the way. When the season was canceled due to COVID-19, Ta'amu led the league in completion percentage, second in passer rating with a rating of 101.3, third in passing yards, and seventh in rushing yards. He would sign with the reigning Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs, on a one-year deal, able to learn from Patrick Mahomes. He would jump back and forth between the Chiefs and Lions practice squads, before spending the tail end of 2021 with Washington and Carolina. Spent 2022 with the Tampa Bay Bandits in the USFL, leading the league in passing yards with 2,014 and 14 touchdowns before joining the DC Defenders in 2023, where he would go on to be named the Offensive Player of the Year and led the Defenders to the XFL title game. He would spend the 2023 season with the Minnesota Vikings and Saskatchewan Roughriders before returning to DC last year, and re-signed with them for a third year in a row. Across the XFL, USFL, and UFL regular seasons, Ta'amu has thrown for 6,787 yards, 48 touchdowns, and 26 interceptions, while rushing for 1,086 yards and 6 touchdowns on the ground. I've already done multiple videos on Luis Perez' backstory because it's one of my favorite, but a quick overview is he played 2 years of junior varsity football in high school, but after consistently being moved around by his coaching staff, he decided to stop playing. Decided to attend a community college where he walked onto the Southwest College football team with no high school film and no experience at the high school level. Came in as a quarterback, being 9th on the depth chart, and coaches recommended him change positions, but he refused. Due to injuries and transfers, he would become the starting quarterback by the 3rd week of the season and start putting up big numbers, before getting hurt and returned the following season, leading his team to the conference championship. Perez would not earn a Division I scholarship, instead enrolled at Texas A&M Commerce, a D2 school in Northeast Texas at the time. He would redshirt his first year before taking over the starting quarterback job, having a strong season, being named the Harlan Hill Award nominee, the Heisman Trophy of Division II. The following year, he led the Lions to the D2 National Championship and won the Harlan Hill Trophy. He finished his career throwing for 8,327 yards, 78 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions in 2 years, putting together a 22-3 record as a starter. He would go undrafted in the 2018 NFL Draft, but was signed by the Los Angeles Rams and later released. He then signed with the AAF, playing for the Birmingham Iron, helping them clinch a playoff berth before the season was suspended. He would then be signed and waived by the Eagles and Lions before joining the XFL, originally being allocated to the Los Angeles Wildcats. After the Wildcats signed Josh Johnson, Perez would be traded to the New York Guardians. Perez impressed in the XFL, leading the New York Guardians into the playoff contention, where the season was cut short. He then played in the Spring League, leading the Jousters to the championship game. He spent 2022 at the New Jersey Generals after starter Ben Holmes went down with a toe injury and was cut from the roster. He would throw the first ever touchdown in USFL modern history and led the Generals to the playoffs, going 5-1 as a starting quarterback, throwing for 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He was then signed and released by the Los Angeles Rams, before signing with the Vegas Vipers of the XFL. He traded to the Arlington Renegades, where he led them to the XFL title game, upsetting the DC Defenders 35-26. In 2024, he led the UFL in passing, throwing for 2,310 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions, and would be signed and released by the Chargers. He recently re-signed with the Renegades last month. The Roughnecks starting quarterback is expected to be Jalen McClendon, who is originally from Charlotte, North Carolina. Attended high school at Mecklenburg High School, where as a senior he led the school to the North Carolina 4AA state playoffs, throwing for 1,700 passing yards and 17 passing touchdowns. According to 24/7 Sports Composite, he was a 4-star recruit with offers from Florida State, Miami, and Tennessee, but chose to go to the NC State. While at NC State, he mainly served as Jacoby Brissett and Ryan Finley's backup, never getting to throw more than 30 passes in a season while with the Wolfpack. He would decide to transfer to Baylor to compete with Charlie Brewer for the starting quarterback job, losing out on the battle. He made one start his whole career, finishing his college career throwing for 977 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, while also rushing for 325 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. He would go undrafted in the 2019 NFL Draft, signing with the Baltimore Ravens, but would be waived. He then spent time with Washington before having multiple workouts with the Giants and Packers, but never signing a contract. He played for the Los Angeles Wildcats in the 2020 season of the XFL, before it was cut short. He would be drafted by the Vegas Vipers when the league returned in 2023, throwing for 873 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception in 4 games. He then spent time with the DC Defenders last year, being traded in November to the Houston Roughnecks for Keandre Thompson in return. Troy Williams is the early favorite to win the starting quarterback job for the Memphis Showboats. Williams is originally from Harbor City, California, and played high school football at Narbonne. He started his collegiate career at Washington, where he would redshirt and later transferred to Santa Monica College, a California JUCO. In his lone season at Santa Monica, he led the Corsairs to an 11-0 record while throwing for 2,750 yards with 31 touchdowns and 4 interceptions and rushing for 7 touchdowns. He'd take over as Utah starting quarterback in 2016, throwing for 2,757 yards with 15 touchdowns and 8 interceptions while also rushing for 235 yards and 5 touchdowns as the Utes went 9-4. Leading into his redshirt senior season, Williams lost his starting quarterback job to Tyler Huntley, finishing the season throwing for 812 yards, 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, while also rushing for 4 touchdowns on the ground. He go undrafted during the 2018 NFL Draft, participated in rookie minicamp with the Seattle Seahawks and Los Angeles Chargers. He then spent time with the Edmonton Eskimos and Saskatchewan Roughriders from 2019 to 2022, before signing with the Pittsburgh Maulers of the USFL. While with the Maulers, he threw for 1,414 yards and 6 touchdowns while rushing for 341 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground, leading Pittsburgh to the USFL title game. He signed with the Memphis Showboats last year, throwing for 592 yards and 5 touchdowns while rushing for a touchdown on the ground. The last projected starter I'm going to talk about in this video is Bryce Perkins. Perkins is originally from Chandler, Arizona, where he played for Chandler High School. As a senior, he led Chandler to their first state title since 1949 and finished his career throwing for 5,332 yards and 70 touchdowns while also rushing for 26 touchdowns on the ground. Coming out of high school, according to 24/7 Sports Composite, he was a 3-star recruit with offers from Arizona, Arizona State, Northwestern, and UCLA, choosing to go to Arizona State. He would redshirt in 2015 and missed 2016 due to a broken neck. He would break his neck during practice and at the time was debating about leaving the program while in the middle of a 4-man quarterback competition. Perkins had a choice: undergo surgery, which would almost certainly preclude him from playing again, or spend months in a bulky neck brace, hoping his body would heal itself. Both options were risky, but the decision wasn't really tough. The crowded quarterback room for the Sun Devils, Perkins would choose to transfer to Arizona Western, a JUCO that was 2 hours away and 20 minutes from the US-Mexico border. In his lone season there, he passed for 1,311 yards and 7 touchdowns, and rushed for 353 yards and 4 touchdowns, leading them to the JUCO national title game. He transferred to Virginia, leading the Cavaliers to an 8-5 record and setting single-season school records for yards of total offense with 3,603 and total touchdowns with 34. In 2019, he led Virginia to a 9-5 record, throwing for 3,538 yards, 22 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, while rushing for 769 yards and 11 touchdowns on the ground. He would go undrafted in the 2020 NFL Draft, but signed with the Los Angeles Rams, where he spent time on their practice squad. He earned a Super Bowl ring while with the Rams. He made his NFL debut in 2022, filling in for Matthew Stafford in weeks 10 through 12 against the Cardinals, New Orleans Saints, and Kansas City Chiefs, following injuries to both Stafford and backup John Wolford. He joined the Michigan Panthers of the UFL midway through last season, tearing it up in weeks 7 and 8, while splitting time with Brian Lewerke. In week 9 and 10, Perkins split time with Danny Etling. He led the Panthers to a double-digit comeback against the Roughnecks in week 9, showing all his dual-threat capabilities. His season would unfortunately end though when he got hurt against the Stallions in week 10, and finished a short stint with the Panthers throwing for 380 yards and 2 touchdowns, completing nearly 80% of his passes while rushing for 180 yards and 2 scores on the ground. He re-signed with the Panthers in August and is the favorite to win the starting quarterback job. And there you have it, the expected quarterback starters for the 2025 UFL season. Who are you most excited to watch? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.